back to my Tatas Life, or like the book says, my grandfather's life. Today's question in this book is, tell me any stories you remember about your birth. See, I've already filled out this page, but the story I want to tell today is actually my grandmother's story. The story she used to tell when I was little. So this is actually the only one I remember about my birth. One story I remember that my nana used to tell me when I was born is that there was also a little girl in the hospital that was born at the same time I was, and she also had a heart defect like I did. And every time she told the story, she would get sad and just start crying, and I'd sit there wondering, like, she never finishes a story, and I always wondered why. You know, it wasn't until I was a little bit older and I finally asked my mom. I said, hey Mom, how come every time Nana tells me the story about that little girl, she never finishes it and she always walks away crying? Well, my mom told me that it was because that little girl didn't make it. She didn't survive her heart defect, but I did. So they used to sit in the waiting room and kind of wondered, were they blessed? Or was it guilt? I don't know. How are you supposed to feel when two families are fighting and praying for the same thing? You know, there's a lot of times I sit here and I think of that little girl and her family. And I wonder if they ever think about us. You know, did that little girl's parents know that I made it? Or did they leave after their daughter didn't make it? Like I said, my grandmother never finished that story, so I don't even know what they talked about. You know, did they talk about their plans? Did they talk about our plans? Did they talk about the plans for us, for their babies? Not even knowing the outcome, they were just talking about it. That's my opinion. That's what I'd like to think about. I'm not gonna lie. There's days I sit here and wonder, was that supposed to be me that didn't make it? Then I'm here, ain't I? It's God's plan. I'm back here. It's a little cold out there. I only went to take Zuko out to do his business. But that's the story I remember of my birth, of that little girl who didn't make it. She was born with the same heart defect as I was. She just didn't make it, and she rests in peace. So with that being said, I remember when my grandmother would tell the story and she'd walk away crying. And I didn't know why. Back then, I didn't know why. Well, now that I'm a grandfather, I can't picture or I can't imagine what she was going through as a grandparent, watching her grandbaby sit in an incubator, clinging on to his life. And then meeting another person or another family that is also going through the same thing at the same time. I'm sure she seeked comfort in that little girl's grandmother. And I'm sure that little girl's grandmother was looking for comfort in my grandmother. So together, their prayers, I'm pretty sure, were strong. Now that I'm a grandparent, I understand why she didn't finish telling me that story. That's a gut-wrenching story to tell your own grandkid about themselves, you know, when they were born and how they almost didn't make it, and the other little girl that was next to them with the same condition didn't make it. So it's got to be a tough story to tell, which is why she walked away crying. Because I tell you what, if it came to any of my grandkids, I wouldn't want to be telling that story about them. This grandparent love is a whole different ballgame, I'll tell you that. You watch your kids grow up and you struggle right along with them. You're growing up right along with them. Then when you have your grandkids, it just seems like, been there, done that. Now you can enjoy them. It's fun. It is a blessing. I love it. As I was writing that story in my book, I kind of realized something, or made me think of something. You know, I kind of believe in reincarnation. I'm not going to say I truly believe in it, but I do believe in it. And sometimes I see my granddaughter, Anna, and the way she runs around here and smiles and she's just full of life, full of joy, full of love. Almost like my grandmother was. I mean, my grandmother was just so loving, so caring, and so giving. And that's almost how my granddaughter is, exactly like my grandmother. So sometimes I wonder, is my grandmother reincarnated in my granddaughter? I don't know. Sounds goofy, but I like to think so because she carries a lot of the characteristics my grandmother did. I'd like to believe in reincarnation, and I'd also like to believe that my grandmother was reincarnated into my granddaughter. Sounds weird, but it's my theory. I'll go with it. Anyhow, that's what I remember. So if my grandmother has reincarnated into my granddaughter, do I have anyone in heaven looking after me? Well, maybe my grandmother assigned that little girl to be my angel. Or maybe that little girl was my angel all along, which is why I'm still here. I got backup. We lose loved ones in our life. But that little girl has been gone my whole life. Maybe I met her, maybe I didn't. I know we fought together. I know we were in the same hospital together. But I came home. And she went home. And now she's watching over me, I hope. If I do have an angel up there and it is that little girl, well, thank you. Thank you for always watching my back. I apologize if you can't keep up with me. It's just, I'm full of life and I don't plan on giving up soon. And I don't plan on slowing down. You see, I'm kind of been living by two theories these last few years. Number one is, could be worse. Whatever you're going through could be worse. There's somebody out there always worse off than you. My second theory on the way I live is I'd rather burn out than rust out. My doctors tell me to slow down, to relax. Nah, I gotta keep going. I got people that depend on me. Not only do I have people depending on me, I've got a life to live. And I've made a pact within myself that with this condition, I won't be a statistic. So I'm gonna live my life to the fullest, to the best of my ability, and nothing's gonna stop me. And I suggest you do the same. It's your life. It'll be worse.